If you haven't heard of Pablo Escobar, you've been hiding under a rock. Among the most well-known or infamous figures in history to this day, Pablo Escobar went so far into the underbelly of the gangster and drug mafia that he may be the only guy to ever do so till this day. Today on Supreme 5, we'll bring you 15 shocking facts about Pablo Escobar. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Number 15. Pablo Escobar spent $2,500 on rubber bands. Just alone, the Medellin cartel allegedly spent $2,500 each month on rubber bands alone to secure their vast amounts of cash. However, Pablo Escobar's brother, Roberto, has refuted the urban legend, claiming that the cartel did not spend such a significant sum on rubber bands. Instead, the majority of their money was wrapped with rubber bands and buried underground, where it remains hidden to this day and accessible to anyone who finds it. Number 14. Billions of spoilage every year. The fact that Escobar's money kept on pouring in despite his unlawful operations was the biggest problem with his fortune. Aside from shelling out $2,500 monthly on rubber bands to keep the money together, the Medellin cartel also lost an estimated $2.1 billion annually to spoilage. Some of the spoilage was lost, and the rats got in and nibbled on the bills, thus the money was lost. Number 13. Murders and massacres. He was a crook while being one of the wealthiest persons ever. His fortune had been amassed through nefarious means, including running the largest drug trade on the planet. Colombia earned the moniker murder capital of the world during his drug rule. There were 25,100 violent deaths in the country in 1991 and 27,100 in 1992. Number 12. Pablo's fear of extradition. According to Pablo Escobar, he would rather have a grave in Colombia than a jail cell in the U.S. Extradition to the United States was the one thing even the most notorious drug baron in history dreaded. Because of his extreme apprehension of extradition, he once offered to forgive Colombia's $10 billion in debt in exchange for a change in the country's extradition policies. Number 11. Keeping secret from family. Even Pablo Escobar's loved ones were in the dark about his lairs and secret passages. They blindfolded Pablo's family and moved them around Medellin to 15 different hiding places every 2 days. The family was instructed to thoroughly inspect each new hiding spot upon arrival to see whether or not any of them were familiar with the location. If they recognized even a little part of the setting, it was quickly disqualified as a potential hiding place, and the family moved on to a new location. Number 10. Burnt money to keep his daughter warm. One of the most infamous and often cited examples of Pablo Escobar's extravagance and recklessness was his burning of $2 million in cash in order to keep his daughter Manuela Escobar warm. In the early 1990s, Escobar and his family were on the run from the Colombian authorities and were hiding out in a remote mountain cabin. The cabin had no electricity, and the family was struggling to stay warm in the chilly mountain climate. As the story goes, Escobar decided to burn a stash of cash that he had hidden in the cabin in order to provide heat for his daughter, who was suffering from hypothermia. This act of extravagance has been noted as a testament to Pablo's extreme nature, as he resorted to burning such a large sum of money in order to keep his family warm. Number 9. Pablo kept a private life. In 1976, Pablo Escobar with Maria Victoria Henao, who was just 15 years old at the time, while he was 26. Despite Henao's family's disapproval of the relationship due to perceived social inferiority, the couple eloped and had 2 children, Juan Pablo, now Sebastian Marroquin, and Manuela. Rumors suggest that in addition to his marriage, Escobar engaged in numerous extramarital affairs and constructed a bachelor's pad under the watchful eye of his wife, allowing him to discreetly meet with his lovers. Number 8. La Catedral Prison. La Catedral was a luxurious private prison built by Pablo Escobar in the mountains outside of Medellin, Colombia. The facility, officially known as the Puerto Triunfo Vacation Retreat, was constructed with the idea of offering a comfortable living space for Escobar, while also allowing him to evade law enforcement. He negotiated with the Colombian government to serve his sentence there instead of a regular prison, in exchange for his agreement to stop his criminal activities. The prison was designed to be a luxurious hideaway, with modern amenities such as a football field, a bar, a jacuzzi, and a waterfall and comforts that were unheard of in other prisons in Colombia. The facility was built to Escobar's exacting specifications, with a helipad, a soccer field, and even a bull ring. The prison was guarded by a private militia made up of Escobar's men, and the Colombian government was not allowed to interfere with its operations. However, in 1991, Pablo Escobar was transferred to a regular prison because the Colombian government wanted to demonstrate its commitment to fighting the drug trade and to show that even the most powerful drug traffickers would be held accountable for their crimes. However, the move ultimately backfired, as Escobar was able to continue running his drug empire from inside the prison, and his incarceration led to a wave of violence and unrest in Colombia. Number 7. Pablo's very own zoo. Pablo Escobar's private zoo, located at his Hacienda NAPOLES estate in Colombia, housed a vast array of animals from different parts of the world, such as antelope, elephants, exotic birds, giraffes, hippopotamuses, ostriches, and ponies. The estate park featured a welcoming pink hippopotamus statue for tourists. Following Escobar's death, the Colombian government took control of the property and found it to be exorbitantly costly to maintain the animals. Consequently, most of the creatures were transferred to other zoos in Colombia and other countries. Presently, the estate's zoo only houses a few animals, including zebras, ostriches, rare goats, and bison. The hippos that once inhabited the estate's grounds went feral after Escobar's death, causing damage to nearby farms and even attacking people. As of 2011, there were at least 30 free-ranging hippos in the vicinity, with around 40 hippopotamuses estimated to reside on the estate's grounds. Number 6. Hacienda NAPOLES, fleet of planes and submarines. Pablo Escobar's opulent estate, situated in Puerto Triunfo, Antioquia Department, Colombia, was famously referred to as Hacienda NAPOLES. Boasting a colossal land area of 7,000 acres, the estate was located approximately 150 kilometers east of Medellin. The estate was rumored to have had several extravagant amenities, including a football pitch, dinosaur statues, artificial lakes, a bullfighting arena, an airfield, and a tennis court. Additionally, Hacienda NAPOLES housed a private airport, a bull ring, a kart racing track, and an extensive collection of vintage and high-end automobiles and motorcycles. After Escobar's death in 1993, his heirs engaged in a legal battle with the Colombian government over the ownership of the land. Eventually, the government won the case and confiscated all of Escobar's assets, including his burnt collection of private automobiles. Despite the extent of the seized assets, it is believed that they only represent a fraction of Escobar's vast wealth. Number 5. Richest cartel boss ever. At his peak, Pablo Escobar was the 7th wealthiest person on the planet. He amassed a fortune of $30 billion in 1993, which is comparable to $64 billion in 2021, thanks to his successful pharmaceutical company. Nobody has ever come close to matching his claimed $30 billion in criminal wealth, making him the richest criminal in history. His narcotics empire was raking in over $420 million every week. For 7 consecutive years, Pablo was included in Forbes' World's Richest. From 1987 until his death in 1993, Forbes magazine consistently listed him as one of the world's wealthiest men. In 1993, he was at his best, ranking 7th on the list. Number 4. Robin Hood of cocaine. The legacy of Pablo Escobar is still divisive today. Many consider him the worst criminal in history and the murderer of thousands of innocent people. Yet many Colombians held him in high esteem. The underprivileged in Colombia regarded him as the Robin Hood of cocaine because of the various benefits he has provided to them. He became a folk hero to many Colombians who saw him as a symbol of resistance against the government and the wealthy elite, due to the fact that he invested heavily in infrastructure projects that benefited the underprivileged, including educational institutions, medical facilities, affordable housing, recreational areas, and sports venues. The fact that 25,000 individuals mourned his passing speaks much about his significance. Number 3. Wished to become president. Even being called King of Cocaine wasn't enough for Pablo Escobar. He had the ambition to rise to the position of President of Colombia. Hannah, Pablo's wife, confirmed this information in her autobiography. It was another attempt on his part to avoid being extradited to the United States. In 1982, Escobar launched his political career by running for a seat in the Colombian Congress. He campaigned under the slogan Plata o Plomo, which meant silver or lead in Spanish. This phrase was meant to convey that Escobar would either bribe his opponents or kill them if they did not support him. In 1990, Escobar officially launched his presidential campaign. However, Escobar's presidential campaign was short-lived. He was eventually forced to withdraw from the race after his criminal activities became too much of a liability. Number 2. King of Cocaine. Pablo Escobar was known as the King of Cocaine due to his monopoly on the drug trade. The Medellin Cartel, which he established in 1976, operated under his exclusive direction. What started out as a smuggling business turned into a multi-billion drug empire. By the mid-1980s, the Medellin Cartel was responsible for supplying up to 80% of the cocaine in the United States, making Escobar one of the richest and most powerful men in the world. His wealth and influence allowed him to infiltrate Colombian politics and law enforcement, further cementing his control over the drug trade. At the height of his drug trafficking career, Pablo Escobar was able to smuggle 15 tons of cocaine a day. He even smuggled cocaine in the tires of planes. Based on the amount of contraband they were able to smuggle, the pilots may make up to $500,000. Number 1. The death of Pablo Escobar. On December 2, 1993, Colombian authorities finally caught up with Escobar, who had been on the run for over a year after escaping from prison. He was hiding out in a safe house in Medellin, where he was surrounded by a team of elite police officers and soldiers. A fierce gun battle ensued, with Escobar and his bodyguard exchanging fire with the police and military. In the end, Escobar was shot and killed, marking the end of his reign as one of the world's most notorious drug lords. The death of Pablo Escobar had a significant impact on Colombia and the drug trade. It was seen as a major victory for the Colombian government and the United States, which had been working to bring Escobar to justice for years. His death also signaled a shift in the drug trade, as other cartels and criminal organizations vied for control. Despite his death, the legacy of Pablo Escobar continues to be felt in Colombia and beyond. He remains a controversial figure, with some seeing him as a Robin Hood-like figure who provided for the poor, while others view him as a ruthless criminal responsible for countless deaths. The story of his life and death continues to capture the imagination of people around the world.